an outrageous statement, if you check the footnote, it was from Christopher Black. And when you came to the next outrageous statement, it was from Robin Philpott. And when you go online and look for Phil Taylor's blog or semi-website on the CIUT website, you'll find that on Taylor's website, there's a big advert for Robin Philpott's book. And Robin Philpott's book says, according to this website, that General Dallaire was an American stooge. Which then Phil Taylor quotes on air, and the proof is that Robin Philpott said it, and it's got to be true because Robin Philpott is quoted in Herman and Peterson. So these 10 or 12 people drink their own dirty water. They tell poisonous lies to each other, and then they repeat it as evidence because they heard it from one of the others. This is literally true. Here's what they never, ever cite. And when I say I tend sometimes to exaggerate, I am not exaggerating now. Never does a single one of them cite the evidence of genocidaires who have confessed. Easily available. At the ICTR, where Prime Minister Kambanda, where he confessed the whole thing, or in the writings of Scott Strauss or John Hatzfeld in Machete Season, where they interviewed killers who had admitted that they had killed and described how it happened and described how organized it was. Never does a single one of this dirty dozen quote a single one of them. Number two, neither does a single one ever cite the words of a survivor. There are no human beings in their work. There's no people. There's only some statistics that they invent. But the words of survivors of the kind we've heard today, which tell the story from that point of view, never exist. And I have challenged these people to come to a room like this, to come to a room of survivors and tell their story about the genocide that the Tutsi perpetrated. And they never do that. Number three, not a single one of them ever cites or quotes or uses as evidence the few outsiders who remained in Rwanda for all or part of the genocide. General Dallaire is never cited. His sidekick, Brent Beardsley, is never cited. Dr. James Orbinski is never cited. Philippe Gaillard, who stayed for the entire 100 days as head of the International Committee of the Red Cross, a dear friend of mine, one of the world's most wonderful people, is never cited. Carl Wilkins, a gutsy and brave missionary who sent his wife and kids home and stayed deliberately through the whole genocide. And I met with him and Paul Kagame at the same time, and I know the kind of guy he is, never cited. And if you want to get off the Mzungu kick, Henry Anyadoho, the Ghanaian general, who was Romeo's closest ally, never cited in his little book, Guns Over Kagame. Why cite any of this when you've got yourselves to cite? And here's another list. Here's the final list. Some of you will have heard of